WrestleMania 40 is right around the corner, and there are two legends that I'm very curious about what their role could be on the biggest show of the year. Now I'm talking about John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin. What? We haven't heard anything about John Cena or Stone Cold returning to WWE for this year's big WrestleMania 40 weekend. Either nothing's going on or they're keeping it under wraps at this point, but we are only like a few weeks away, not even, of WrestleMania. And from previous reports that we've seen online, John Cena might be available for that weekend to be able to do something. Stone Cold Steve Austin, we haven't heard a thing. I think there were rumblings months and months ago about possible opponents for him at Mania, and that they tried to do something for WrestleMania 39, but they didn't. And I think with Austin, it's very much a situation of what's the creative, what's the direction and use for him, and does it make sense? Cena had kind of his last run where he was fighting the Bloodline. He lost to Solo Sikoa, and so you could bring back John Cena in some sort of capacity when it comes to the main event match or the tag team match. So I got a lot of questions and speculation on what either of these legends could be doing, either separately or together. And if you guys end up enjoying videos like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's go. For John Cena, there are some potential possibilities here. We could get just a Grayson Waller effect segment where Cena comes out, Waller is his guest, just like they did at a previous PLE, and then you could have Austin Theory out there, and then he eats a bunch of attitude adjustments and John Cena goes over and just says howdy do and waves and says goodbye. Cena has talked online about how his retirement is coming near and that his days of wrestling are going to be numbered very soon. But this is WrestleMania 40. This is the time to get all the giant legends out there. And in my opinion, I think you do see legends across the board, from Hulk Hogan to Cena to Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker. I think you see a vast array of legends in some capacity, whether it's going to be backstage stuff or they're going to be on the show itself making appearances. I think you want to do that. This is 40 years of Mania and it's over 2 nights. And based on the card and how it's shaping out, it's not going to be an overwhelming amount of matches throughout the whole evening on either night. It's going to be solid and stacked, but I think there's wiggle room in there. So you could do John Cena in a fun little segment, or you could have him a little bit more involved in storylines. Now, do I think that John Cena would show up in the tag team match? No. I think that tag team match is going to be solely focused on Roman Rock versus Cody and Seth. 4 of them going at it. My prediction is that the Bloodline is going to win that to make it tribal rules for the main event of night 2, where it could get really messy. You could see some Bloodline interference and things like that within the tag team match, but I think you want to save a lot of stuff for that night 2 main event. And also, you don't want to take away any of the shine and stuff from The Rock, who's getting really over his final boss, Roman Reigns, and maybe having Cody and Seth lose. You don't want to take away from that moment by having John Cena, for example, interrupting and getting involved in any capacity. It will make some sense if Cena gets involved in the Bloodline story because of his past history with Roman Reigns, because of what his recent run was, where he was going up against the Bloodline and he lost. Cena has some motivation to get a little redemption here by losing to Solo in their last match together, and he could kind of get his comeuppance when it comes to the night 2 main event of Cody versus Roman. Now remember, that night 2 main event, I really do think you were going to end up with like a no holds barred, no DQ, and I think it's going to be like an overbooked mess in terms of just people getting involved. Because when we saw the end of SmackDown where you had the Bloodline on one side, and then you ended up having Cody, Jay, and Seth standing on the other side, you're getting like everyone that's kind of involved in this thing, and you could stack it even higher, where you could have Drew on the other side with the Bloodline, The Rock, all of the Bloodline members, and then on the other side, you have Cody and Jay and Seth, and you could toss in John Cena. His history with The Rock is there, his history with Roman is there, and the Bloodline. John Cena would kind of fit in terms of getting involved in the night 2 main event. And I do believe that that night 2 is not going to be just straight up Cody versus Roman. I think it will be The Rock getting involved. I think the Bloodline gets all involved in this thing, but I think Cody ends up getting the backup. It could be a really cool moment where you do have the likes of Jay running down, Seth running down in the main event of night 2, trying to help out Cody, trying to even the odds, and they take out Solo and they take out Jimmy and they're gone. But you're still dealing with The Rock being around there. Rock is final boss, and what we saw on Monday Night Raw where he destroyed Cody Rhodes into a bloody mess, and it was really cool. This is where I think because The Rock has positioned himself as final boss. And we'll talk about The Rock's future, like WrestleMania 41 and beyond in another video. But The Rock being positioned as final boss, he is Thanos in this whole arc of the Avengers of WWE. Cody is Captain America. I don't know where that leaves Roman Reigns. Does that make him like Ultron? Red Skull? I don't know. The Rock is essentially Thanos, final boss, biggest baddie of them all. You need somebody to help even things out, and that could be John Cena. Now, the pop would be very big if you had Cena coming down to lend a hand to Cody Rhodes. They've also done this where Cena has put Cody over. He's raised his hand on Raw. He's pointed to him like he is the guy. And again, there's a ton of backstory between The Rock and John Cena and the Bloodline. It would kind of fit. But then what about if John Cena isn't enough to take out The Rock and Roman Reigns in night 2 of WrestleMania to help Cody finish the story? Then glass shatters, and it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he comes down, and the place erupts. It's again an overbooked mess. I could see this happening. It doesn't make too much sense for Stone Cold to get involved, but the way things are going, where The Rock is positioned as the ultimate baddie, no one can take him down, no one can defeat him. The arena in the night 2 main event of WrestleMania would absolutely lose their minds if they heard the glass shatter and Stone Cold made his big bad mother effer walk down to the ring, and he came out and started dishing out stunners to the Bloodline, a stunner to Roman Reigns, and a stunner to The Rock, and taking out The Rock to even the odds. Because the only way to take out or even things out with The Rock is you need somebody who is just as big, just as strong, and in legendary status and in wrestling, that would be Stone Cold. And it would make some sense because Stone Cold is the epitome of anti-authority and the history he has with The Rock at WrestleMania. Do I think that that would be just like chaos and just borderline silly? Absolutely. But we've come this far, and WWE is doing something different with this main event storyline now that The Rock is involved. This is not a tried and true WrestleMania story arc where it was for years just Brock versus Roman and pulling the title back and forth from each other and who's gonna spear the other person, and then that's the end of it, and we have a new champion because that's what Vinnie Mac wanted. We're beyond that. We're entering a new phase and a new era, and they're incorporating all of these pieces and this history into this storyline. So if they do it right, they could inject Cena, they could inject Austin into this to make appearances, to just explode the crowd, and Cody could end up getting a clean pin, relatively clean pin, over Roman Reigns and winning in the main event. And if you had those guys in the ring and you have John Cena on one side and Stone Cold Steve Austin on the other, and they raise the hand of Cody Rhodes, the new champion, it's the ultimate putover of Cody Rhodes as the guy of WWE. And you end WrestleMania with all these top legends from years past celebrating from the past to the future with Cody Rhodes. But how do you get Austin involved with it making sense at all? Does he just show up out of nowhere and the crowd just goes insane? Maybe. They could have Austin do a segment on night 1. Remember WrestleMania 38? He showed up twice. And it was a big surprise for the other one when he showed up with Austin Theory and McMahon. People weren't expecting that. You could do something similar again here. You can have Stone Cold show up for a Grayson Waller effect with John Cena. You get Cena and Austin sharing beers, dishing out stunners and attitude adjustments, and it's a fun, happy Legends segment. And that's where fans might think that that's the end of it. You could have a little moment backstage, WrestleMania night 1 before the tag team main event, and you could have The Rock and Stone Cold pass each other by, and The Rock just has to make one comment or one look to the rattlesnake to set him off. You could just pan to Stone Cold in his face of him just kind of thinking for a second, and that's it. Just lay one little seed of this and you can get Stone Cold in that main event, and you've driven the motivation. Now, do I then need to see Austin versus Rock for a 4th time? No. And I don't expect it. It would be cool. Like, it would be at this stage. They could just brawl. Like, I just throw some punches, stunners, rock bottoms, and it'd be fun. But I don't expect that. I don't expect that at all. I do see that they could use Stone Cold as an equalizer. They could use John Cena as an equalizer. The other thing with all of this and why this comes up is because we had that moment on Raw of Cody and The Rock outside by the buses, and where The Rock had Cody pinned up against the ledge. You could see the WWE truck, you had the big WWE logo in the middle, and on one side you had John Cena, and on the other you had Stone Cold Steve Austin on the truck for the images. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that today, with the story that The Rock is doing, with all the social media, the directions they are doing with this stuff, I think everything that they are shooting is done on purpose. It has intention. You wouldn't frame it like that. You wouldn't have the buses there showing John Cena and Stone Cold if they weren't going to be possibly part of something. Maybe not. Maybe it is just to throw dummies like me off and think that they're coming, they're gonna save the day. But it could be a fun little hint that they could show up to help Cody Rhodes. Again, this storyline, the final boss, it's very much Avengers, where they're trying to defeat Thanos, and Cody needs to call on the help of all the Avengers, of everybody. That would include the biggest stars ever. I don't expect Hulk Hogan to come out and start dropping leg drops, brother, as much as he probably would want to be involved in the main event. And if Austin and John Cena are going to be involved in WrestleMania 40, I am hoping that it is more than just a Grayson Waller theory segment where they just dish out some finishers. Happy, fun moment for the audience? Absolutely. Will I smile? 100%. It'll be a great time, and it'll be a great feel-good moment for WrestleMania to have those legends on screen. But if you are going to have them at Mania, I think there is a way that Triple H and creative can use and leverage these legends in a really, really fun way. But what do you think? How would you use Cena and Austin at WrestleMania 40? Comment below, and guys, if you enjoy Unfiltered videos like this, hit that like button. It does a lot for this channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.